Disclaimer: the following video will contain spoilers. A delinquent's attempt to steal a car backfires when he gets himself locked inside instead. Trapped by William Anthony Hopkins, a psychopath who seeks for justice for the shift in society caused by delinquents such as Eddie, Bill Skarsgård. Wow, another one location movie? A surprise to be sure, but a welcomed one. Like I mentioned in my flight risk review, I like one location movies. I'm always fascinated by how the story begins and progresses, and how, even if it's located in one specific place, we are still captivated and engaged when done correctly. After the failure of Flight Risk, I am glad we got a good example of a good one location thriller. In my opinion, and based off where the other movie failed at, the 4 things you need to succeed in this type of movie is 1. Location, 2. Character, 3. Plot/stakes, and 4. Dialogue. Let's go over it. Location, location, location. Now, it's obvious that in a one location movie, you need a location. However, how do you choose that location? How do you know if the location you are considering would stand out or result in a good story? I know there are times when writing when we can enthusiastically envision scenes within a secluded location or an open spaced one. However, before you can even consider this location, first ask yourself, what is the story about? The story, in my opinion, should always come first, not the one location. That way, we aren't stuck on forcing a story for the location, but instead, we mold the location to fit our story. In short, if you get an idea for a one location movie, let's just say a guy gets stuck inside a mall. You first have to ask yourself important questions, all of which are associated with the story. Those consists of theme/message, reasoning behind the story, and how this one location helps to amplify all of that. What I mean is that I feel that that location has to hold some level of significance and importance. That way, it serves as both an interesting location, but also works hand in hand with the story. By doing so, we prevent having a forced or contrived story based on that location. If it's just about a location for that location's sake, it might be cool and whatnot, but there is a slight possibility I would go, so what? The story could have worked if it was in a different location. That location could have been better if it was in a military base instead of a mall. So what makes this location matter?
I want to make a difference. I want justice.
Then call the cops. Have me arrested, I'll confess. That's just as right.
The whole judicial system, the police, the prosecutors, the judges, no longer have any power because they have all been castrated by sheep, the bleeding heart governors of our states, who care nothing about the people of this country, but choose instead to give pestilent little shits like you a little slap on the wrist, coddling you, babying you, giving you free rent and food, not forgetting, of course, the mandatory touchy-feely psychotherapist fuckwits who help you to process the grief of your victimhood. So for justice, I must blaze my own path.
That location better be important, because without it, there is a possibility of losing the audience. Let me explain. If there is a significance and importance to this location, the story isn't just about the location. It's about the story and how the location is incorporated and integrated into the story, giving weight to that location as it amplifies the story. There is a reason for this location, and that location can also help coincide with character decisions, actions, motives, and story, which I will get to in just a moment. But for now, the location in Locked is inside a luxurious vehicle. Not only does this stand out, as we are left wondering, how can you be locked inside a car? How can the movie revolve around the interior of this car? Curious, you watch the movie and are fascinated by that location, as it answers all our questions. Not only because of its execution, but because of what the car represents. There lies the real beauty of this location. The car holds significance because it is a representation of William's character. Its fancy exterior is a facade of a much darker interior. William seems to be a nice gentleman, but on the inside, he is full of anger and frustration, which makes him perform this vendetta against delinquents, seeking revenge for the various times these delinquents have stolen and broken into his vehicle, as well as the death of his daughter. We sit in awe as William uses the very thing they tried to steal as a trap, and it works. Also, kudos when the car moves. We still remain inside the car, but no longer inside that parking lot.
Oh, Edward, did you really think it would be that easy? Surely not. You're smarter than that, aren't you?
We watch as the story unfolds, remaining inside this car, and seeing how even if the car moves, it still coincides with the story. It's still significant, and a lot is revealed of these characters. So now, instead of being locked inside a car because it is designed to be a torture device or equivalent, there is a much more nuanced reason, one that adds conflict into Eddie's character, which would allow him to grow and fix his flaws as a result.
I want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm no good.
If we compare locations to flight risk, for example, there doesn't seem to be any significance of the plane. Sure, it brings tension and stakes because it isn't just being trapped in a plane. They are trapped in a plane in the middle of nowhere with an assassin. However, just looking at that location, there is no real significance or importance to that location. What would have been cool is if Madeline had a fear of flying, but given all the conflicts thrown at her, with this court case being moved earlier, being in the middle of nowhere, and no form of communication, she takes it upon herself to get in the plane, despite her fears, because she wants to serve justice. Now, it doesn't add a full significance to this plane, but it at least adds more than what the movie had. Because the same thing could have worked if it was inside a boat. So again, make your location matter. That way, it is not just engaging, it also serves a higher purpose.
Just look at what they've become, Eddie. I mean, really look. They're like animals, aren't they? Living off handouts. Addicts, criminals. And we all just go on like this is normal. Like this is okay. Society's broken.
Just keep in mind, the location isn't just the only thing that hooks us into the story. It is the characters that are stuck in that one location. Characters. I'm just saying it right off the bat. A good character consists of various things. However, I'm going to primarily focus on how the audience follows character and how characters create an engaging viewing for these type of movies. In order for the audience to follow our protagonist through their journey, we need to like that character. If not, we can care less about him and we're not really engaged with the story, finding it boring. There are various ways and methods on how to write a good character, and how to make the audience care for this character. But in short, give the protagonist a flaw that needs fixing. Let him be relatable. And lastly, let us, the audience, see that even if the character is broken or depressed, he still cares. He's still a morally good person. His actions might not be the best, but his mindset is still good. Applying that to Locked, Eddie is a delinquent. We can see that. But we can also see that his current state of living is causing a rift between his daughter and girlfriend. Yet, he still tries. We see that he wants to be a better father. Unfortunately, he doesn't know how. He is too afraid. He feels that being apart from his daughter is the best thing to do. And there is his flaw. Because of these setups, we come to understand our protagonist. We come to like this character, so that when he gets stuck inside this vehicle, unable to get out, facing potential death, we root for him to get out.
I still love you, even when you're acting like a fart head.
Well, I still love you, even when you smell like turd jelly.
Before I continue, I'd like to mention that despite the movie occurring in one location, give time to allow us to care for the character. Not doing that results in a husk-like character and not an engageful one. Take Madeline, for example. In Flight Risk, We were never given a chance to understand nor care for Madeline. She captures Winston and gets on a plane. After a few beats of exposition that was poorly delivered, the action begins. The problem was that we were never given an opportunity to bond with our hero, and what little we had was delivered in a way that wasn't beneficial. Therefore, I wasn't particularly rooting for her in the same way I was for Eddie in Locked. Eddie is a delinquent who values his street smart, and although he doesn't pick up his daughter or prefers to live his life stealing and smoking, he isn't a total loss. When Eddie sees a dog inside a car, he offers the dog some water, demonstrating some compassion and empathy. We come to like him as a result. So when he faces the same thing as this dog, we want to be able to offer him water. Was that too reaching? What I'm trying to say is that although we can see he's on the wrong side of things, we still root for him because we can see that he's trying. He has the right intentions, he's just doing the wrong things. And it wouldn't be until he is locked inside this car that he would soon understand that he had everything he wanted right in front of him. He begins to appreciate what he has and comes to terms that what he was doing was wrong, which propels him to overcome his opponent, win, and grow/change. On the other side of things, William is an interesting character because he is not just a psychopath. There is a reason for his psychopathic behavior, seeing a shift in the judicial system that favors delinquents such as Eddie instead of people who built their enterprise from the ground up, especially when the same judicial system isn't providing any sort of justice from the death of his daughter, made him become a psychopathic maniac, inflicting pain with the very thing these delinquents crave. He became the judge, jury, and executioner.
You're a petty thief and a criminal, and you just happened to get away with, well, you got away with it until today, so tough titty.
Both characters are intriguing for us, the audience, to watch this movie. At least it worked for me, as I wanted to see Eddie win and William lose. In short, the audience needs to follow along with the story. By having interesting and well-written characters, can the audience truly follow along? The most prominent way to do that is to make the characters relatable. Make the characters go through this metamorphosis of sorts, where in the beginning we clearly see that they need changing. So we are captivated by their need to change, that we see the movie and see them changing, and ultimately see them grow. Now we understand we need a good location and good characters. Now let's look at the plot. Plot/stakes. Without plot, a one-location movie cannot thrive. There needs to be a reason why the hero can't just leave this place. There needs to be stakes involved that propels our hero into this journey and motivates them throughout it. Without stakes, we get bored of the same four walls. The plot is what gets us hooked, but it also has to retain our interest throughout the movie. Given that it's a one-location movie, new information has to be presented in a way that flows naturally. Stakes need to be presented that adds weight and conflict onto our hero. And our hero has to take action. That, although may seem insignificant, it packs a punch in the story. This can be achieved verbally through dialogue or physically through actions.
My point is that you can't have justice without morality, and you have none.
I read somewhere, thou shalt not steal. I think it was in the Bible. Thou shalt not steal. That's not complicated, is it? But if you do have a problem with that, you can always take that with God, or Karl Marx, or the Kardashians, or anyone. But it's something I do not need to debate with you. Bye-bye.
Some may argue that being locked in a car isn't high stakes worthy, and I can see the reasoning. However, it is not necessarily the being locked inside the car bit that adds stakes. Despite William's clear grasp on Eddie, the thing that is really at stake is Eddie's relationship with his daughter. Will Eddie break free and become a better father? Is he going to keep his promise to his daughter? These are all questions we begin to wonder, watching carefully to find the answer. We root for Eddie. We want to see him succeed and be a better father than he could be. I guess what I'm trying to say is that being locked inside the car addresses both the A story and the B story. The A story is Eddie being locked inside the car, and the B story is Eddie's relationship with his daughter. Both of these stories wrap around Eddie's need for change, of which the plot and stakes provide conflict and hurdles for Eddie. Of course, just make sure the plot does not drive the story forward. You still need to have the characters be the driving force. Now, let's take a look at the last point of what makes a good one-location movie. Dialogue. Lastly, like I mentioned in my other review, dialogue is one aspect in these type of movies that is crucial, but delicate, in the sense that it could be perceived as forced and not good. A lot of the times, many writers make the mistake of handing out information such as exposition through dialogue. In a one-location movie, the dialogue has to be presented in a way that flows. It cannot be contrived, nor can it be delivered in a boring way. Dialogue is hard. Believe me. It's what I struggle with myself. But in my opinion, here are some tips in handling dialogue. Each line of dialogue has to lead somewhere. There has to be a reason why the set of dialogue was said, whether it be exposition, a revelation, etc. The way dialogue is spoken matters. It also helps differentiate between characters. Dialogue should have subtext. Even when presenting exposition, dialogue should have subtext. Not everything needs to be said. Even omitting dialogue can reveal so much within the character. And lastly, can it be shown instead? If dialogue can be removed to show actions instead, take it. If a character says what is happening on screen, it feels like a waste of time and is not necessary. Remove it. In Locked, William's dialogue and conversation is what hooks you in. It's his motivations and reasonings behind his trap that intrigues us. Though I will say it was a bit unfortunate to mainly hear Eddie cuss and shout the same thing over and over again. It proves William's belief, therefore I wouldn't consider it weak. We're still following Eddie, we're still rooting for him, and we understand that his current state of mind and his current character needs changing. Point is, the dialogue in Locked was good overall because it provided exposition nicely and it worked hand in hand with the stakes involved. In conclusion, what makes a good one-location thriller isn't just the location, but everything encompassing this location. Yes, the location has to be significant, the location has to be memorable, and the location has to be engaging. Although the concept might be interesting, what you need to know is that there are other factors that you must consider for this genre. We have to like and follow these characters in that one location. We need to provide adequate stakes and plot onto these characters so that we stay engaged. And we need the dialogue to flow nicely, so it doesn't feel contrived, constructed, or confusing. Locked achieved all of these 4 aspects I mentioned. From an interesting location to the stakes, the movie had me hooked, wanting to understand William and hoping for Eddie to come out victorious. And that last image of seeing Eddie riding that bicycle, hugging his daughter, was very tear-jerking. It was a perfect ending to this story. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. Did you enjoy the movie? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you on my next review. Until then, God bless.